So, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I wanted to be a bear. And nothing about that seemed weird or out of the ordinary or unusual or impossible to me, and my mum and dad really spurred me on. They told me, you can be anything that you want to be. And so I wanted to be a bear. Cheers, mum and dad. And then a couple of years after that, when it dawned on me that would be a pretty expensive operation to turn from a girl into a bear, I thought, okay, what am I going to be? I'll be an artist. I've always been really creative. I love drawing and painting and making things, and it seemed like a pretty solid fallback option for me. And I remember when I was about 6 or 7 years old having a conversation with my auntie, and she told me, Lise, don't be an artist. Artists don't make any money until they're dead. And I thought, what? No way. Listen, Auntie Isabel, not only am I going to be an artist, but I'm going to be proper rich as well. And I think at that time I probably thought I'd be a millionaire by the time I was about 12, but I'm still working on that. If I was going to be any kind of artist, I was always going to be a cartoon artist. I grew up watching loads of Wallace and Gromit, The Simpsons, The Muppets, all the classics, and I was obsessed with Toy Story. And I think I always kind of saw myself as the Woody of my gang, and I think everyone does because, you know, he's the cool one. But as I've got a little bit older, I've kind of realised that I've probably got a bit more in common with Buzz. All of the other toys know that they're toys, and that's their duty and their purpose and their job, and they're cool with that, but Buzz is different. Buzz is a space ranger. And that was always me. I've always been an artist and nothing else, and it's always been more than just a job to me. I made my first ever stop motion animation when I was about 16, 17 years old, The Unfortunate Tale of Cuthbert the Snail, and I fell in love. I thought, this is my art form. I'm going to be a stop motion animator. But not just any stop motion animator, I'm going to work at Aardman, the Pixar of stop motion animation, or the NASA, if you will. Fast forward a couple of years, I was lucky enough to get a studio tour of Aardman down in Bristol, and I thought, this is it, this is my opportunity, I'm going to get my foot in the door. So before I left, I planted this little guy in the bathroom with a note, and on the note it had it had links to my work and my contact details, and I thought, you know, somebody's going to find this and give me a job, and of course it didn't happen. I don't know if it ever got found, but it didn't deter me. So after that, I started sending plasticine models in the post, one every week, to Aardman. Again, they all had little notes and links to my work. I tried to bribe them with that little plasticine tenner, but nobody got back to me. But I felt really inspired and I felt motivated and I really felt like I was onto something. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to move to Bristol. Aardman are in Bristol, so that's where I need to be. So I packed up my bags and I moved down there. And I didn't know a soul in the city. I was working about 50 hours a week at Pizza Express, but I felt so excited and inspired. And again, I was so motivated just to be that little bit closer to my dream job of working at Aardman. Because I had no mates in Bristol, it meant that when I was off work, I spent all of my time making a new film, Big Bad Monsters. And when it was finished, I sent it into Aardman, of course, and they got back to me. Not to give me a job, but to give me a little bit of encouragement and say, you know, good work, kid, keep doing what you're doing. And whereas some people may have been deflated by this, I felt more motivated than ever. I felt really spurred on. And I actually quit my job at Pizza Express to finish the film. That's me in my bedroom, locked away all summer with the curtains drawn and the lights off, making this film. And in hindsight, it was probably quite unhealthy, the amount of hours that I was working. But I'd do it all over again. It was so much fun, and I learned so much in doing that. So after that, I had rent to pay and I had no money, so I took a job at TGI Fridays, which was shit. I had to sing. I was singing Happy Birthday about 50 times a day, but everything happens for a reason. And on one shift at TGI's, we found a sketchbook on the table from an Aardman animator that had been in for his tea. It had some doodles of Shaun the Sheep in there and some Aardman logos. So I took the sketchbook and I put a little memory card in there with my work on it and a note, a love letter saying, you know, I want to work for you. And I marched down to the studio and I thought, I had visions of, you know, cartwheeling in there like Willy Wonka and fireworks going off and getting hired and starting the next day. But what actually happened was, because I was so excited and nervous, I absolutely flaked. I handed it in at the reception, I freaked out. So a few weeks later, Nick Park was talking in Bristol and I found out and I thought, I'm not going to mess this up twice. So I made this cute little model of him. And I went down to the talk and I hung out after and I got to meet him and we got chatting. And I gave him the model and he didn't hire me there and then, of course. But I was being a bit of a fangirl, so that's okay. And then shortly after that, I moved back to Blackpool. And not because Nick didn't hire me, but because Bristol just wasn't working out for me. I was homesick, I was working all these hours at stupid restaurants, and various things in my life just meant that, you know, it wasn't working out. But I had no intentions of giving up at that point. So I took a job in social media back in Blackpool. Again, not what I wanted to do, but it had a purpose. It taught me how to market myself. And then shortly after that, I got my first ever commission to make a film for my old college, Blackpool Sixth Form. And then off the back of that, I got hired by a lady in Australia to make a 1-minute film every week for her YouTube channel. And that was amazing. It wasn't the coolest animation in the world. In fact, it was kind of weird. You may have seen stuff like this on YouTube and wondered who makes that. Well, me, apparently. But it gave me the chance to go freelance, and it was a great opportunity for me to practice my animation skills. And this lasted for about a year, and at the end of that year, when I got fired, inevitably, I had loads of new work for my showreel, so it paid off. And since then, I've been freelancing more or less full-time. You know, I've done music videos, I've done bits for social media and adverts. I worked on a bit for CITV last year. Those are my hands. And yeah, I don't work at Aardman yet, and I probably work more hours than I ever have in my life, but I can't believe that I'm finally getting paid to be an animator and do what I love. It's incredible. And I just want to stress that this is only a small snippet of what I've been up to over the last 10 or so years. Alongside applying for jobs at Aardman relentlessly, I've applied for and been knocked back from more or less every animation studio in the country. But every time I apply for a new job, I get excited and I get my hopes up, just the same as I was when I was making those plastic models and sending them in, and I think that you've got to. So in reflection, to give one piece of advice to anyone else chasing their dream, it would be just that: get excited, get your hopes up, and just keep making work and showing it to people, because if I hadn't have done that, if I'd have just walked into my dream job on day one, then I wouldn't have learned anything. Thank you very much.